The sky tore open above New Shanghai on a Tuesday afternoon. Commander Elena Reyes stood transfixed on the observation deck of the Pan-Pacific Defense Station as the atmospheric ripple expanded, colors no human eye had witnessed before bleeding across the stratosphere. A moment of terrible beauty before the first of the Freshy warships emerged, massive, obsidian structures that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light. "Status report," she barked into her comm, trying to keep the tremor from her voice as 5 more vessels materialized through the rift. Unknown craft, multiple signatures. Energy readings are. "Commander, these readings can't be right." Lieutenant Park's voice cracked. "If they're accurate, each vessel contains enough power to level a continent." Elena's heart hammered against her ribs as she watched the alien ships descend with impossible grace for their size. "Get me the Secretary General. Now." "Commander." The voice that interrupted wasn't Park's. It wasn't human at all. A chorus of overlapping tones that somehow formed words in perfect English. It emanated from every speaker in the station simultaneously. "There is no need for your planetary leadership. The Freshy Dominion has arrived. Your species will comply or be eliminated." The communication screens around her flared to life, displaying the same message across every channel, in every language on Earth. Billions watched as their devices activated without input, broadcasting the arrival that would change humanity forever. "We are not a warlike species," the voice continued. "We offer efficiency, order, purpose. Your resources will serve the greater collective. Your people will be incorporated. Your conflicts will end." Elena's fingers curled into fists. "And if we refuse?" A pause. "Then, demonstration is required." One of the smaller Freshy vessels positioned itself over the Pacific Ocean. A beam of violet light lanced downward, touching the water. The sea didn't boil or explode as Elena expected. Instead, it simply vanished. A perfect cylindrical void appeared in the ocean, stretching down to expose the seafloor 2 miles below. When the beam shut off, water rushed in with catastrophic force. The resulting tsunami would kill millions along coastlines throughout the Pacific Rim. "You have 72 of your hours to prepare your leadership for our terms," the voice announced. "Resistance is mathematically futile." The communication cut off. The Freshy ships remained in orbit, silent sentinels against the stars. Elena stared at the screens, watching the first waves hit the Philippines. Her comm unit buzzed with incoming emergency protocols, but she couldn't tear her eyes away from the devastation. "Commander." Park's voice finally broke through. "Secretary General Wang is online. She's ordered Operation Firebreak." Elena closed her eyes. Firebreak was the last resort nuclear option. A coordinated strike from every major power. "It won't work." "Mom, tell her it won't work." Elena turned, her decision already made. "But get me Dr. Akand at the Quantum Propulsion Lab. If we're going to die, we might as well try the impossible first." Dr. Amara Akand hadn't slept in 36 hours when Commander Reyes arrived at her underground facility in the Australian outback. The compound, disguised as a mining operation, housed the most advanced propulsion research on the planet, and the most dangerous. "You're telling me the world's governments are considering surrender?" Amara's voice echoed through the cavernous test chamber where her life's work, the quantum displacement engine, sat unfinished. "The Chinese and Russians want to fight. The EU is divided. The Americans are calculating odds," Elena replied, running her hand along the gleaming surface of the prototype. "But after what happened to the Pacific coast, most civilian populations are in favor of whatever keeps their cities intact." "And you came here because..." "Because I've read your papers, Doctor. The ones that weren't redacted." Elena met Amara's eyes. "You theorized that your engine could do more than just propel ships, that it could create a cascading energy release if calibrated correctly." Amara stiffened. "Those calculations were purely theoretical. A weaponized application would be our only chance." Elena pulled up a holographic display showing the Vreshy ship's positions. Their energy signatures suggest they're powered by something similar to your theory, which means they might be vulnerable to the same principles. You're talking about igniting stars. Amara's voice dropped to a whisper, creating supernovas as weapons. I'm talking about showing these aliens that humanity doesn't kneel. Elena's expression hardened. Can you do it? Amara studied the commander's face, the determined set of her jaw, the desperate hope in her eyes. I'll need a team, and access to the global quantum network. You'll have it. What else? A ship. Amara pointed to the half-built craft behind the engine prototype. That one should work. It's not pretty, but the shielding is designed to withstand quantum displacement effects. How long? Amara calculated quickly. 4 days, minimum. We have 3. Then we'd better get started. Captain Devi Santos had been piloting experimental aircraft for 20 years. Nothing had prepared him for the QD-1 Firefly. This isn't a ship, he muttered as technicians strapped him into the cockpit. It's a death wish with engines. Beside him, Dr. Ikand made final adjustments to the navigation system. The displacement field should protect us from most physical effects. Probably. Davy laughed without humor. And we're taking this probably protected suicide machine to pick a fight with aliens who can vaporize oceans. Actually, they didn't vaporize it, corrected Wei Chen, the quantum physicist who rounded out their 3-person crew. They shifted it into another dimensional state temporarily, much more elegant than vaporization. Oh, well, that makes me feel much better, Davy replied dryly. Commander Rice approached the ship, her uniform disheveled after 3 days without rest. The Vreshy have begun landing ground forces. 30 major cities are already under occupation. Any resistance? Devi asked. Some. It doesn't end well for the resistors. She handed Amara a data chip. These are the coordinates where we think their fleet is gathering. The main force hasn't arrived yet. These were just the scouts. Scouts. We looked ill. Those were scouts. Elena nodded grimly. According to their broadcasts, the Dominion spans 300 star systems. They've been expanding for millennia. Then what chance do we have? Davy asked the question they were all thinking. Elena's expression didn't waver. We have the advantage of being underestimated. They see us as primitive, predictable. They expect either surrender or a conventional attack. This will be neither, Amara said, patting the ship's hull. This little firefly is going to show them what happens when you corner humans. The facility's massive doors began to open above them, revealing a night sky where alien ships now outnumbered visible stars. 70% of world governments have signaled intent to surrender at tomorrow's deadline. Elena said quietly, "This is humanity's last play. Make it count." As the technicians cleared the launch area, Elena caught Amara's arm. "The calculations for your weapon, are you certain they'll work?" Amara's eyes reflected the harsh lights of the hangar. "No, but I'm certain what happens if we don't try." Elena nodded once, then stepped back. "Godspeed, Firefly." The craft's engines ignited, not with the roar of conventional thrusters, but with an eerie hum that vibrated through bone and metal alike. Space around the ship seemed to bend, light distorting as the quantum displacement field activated. Then, with a thunderclap of imploding air, the ship vanished. The first move in humanity's desperate gambit had begun. Part 2. The spark. The transition hit like a sledgehammer. Davy's vision swam as the firefly tore through the fabric of space, the quantum displacement field creating a tunnel of twisted physics around them. "Status," he gasped when reality stabilized enough to speak. "Engine functioning within parameters," Wei responded, his fingers dancing across holographic controls. "Field integrity at 82%. Better than expected." Amara was already analyzing their position. "We've cleared Earth orbit. Current location is approximately 2.3 million kilometers from Earth, near the L2 Lagrange point." Davy whistled. That's one hell of a jump. And just our first, Amara replied, pulling up a star chart. The Vreshi fleet is gathering near Proxima Centauri, according to Commander Reyes' intelligence. That's our target. Proxima Centauri. That's over 4 light-years away. Davy protested. 4,246 light-years, White corrected. The Kiwi drive doesn't care about distance the way conventional engines do. Space is just a suggestion to quantum particles. Speaking of the drive, Amara interrupted. We need to let it cool before our next jump. The displacement coils are showing microfractures already. Davy checked their sensor array, scanning for Vreshi signatures. How long? 3 hours, minimum. We may not have 3 hours. Davy pointed to a blinking indicator on his display. Something's approaching. Fast. A sleek silver vessel materialized on their starboard side, smaller than the warships that had appeared over Earth, but unmistakably Vreshi in design. Its surface rippled like liquid metal. Scout ship, Y whispered. They must have detected our jump signature. Can they see us? Davy asked, hand hovering over the manual controls. The field bends light around us, but they'll detect our mass and energy output, Amara answered. We're not invisible, just distorted. The alien vessel circled them slowly, like a predator assessing prey. No communication attempt was made. I don't think they know what to make of us, we suggested. Our technology shouldn't be possible by their understanding of human capability. Then let's keep them confused, Davy decided, easing the Firefly into a controlled drift. If we can maintain distance until the drive cools. The Vreshi ship fired, not a destructive beam, but a net of crackling energy that expanded toward them. Capture field, Amara shouted. Evasive. Davy yanked the controls, spinning the Firefly in a maneuver that would have torn a conventional craft apart. The quantum field absorbed most of the G-forces, but they still felt the brutal twist as the ship narrowly avoided the energy net. We can't outrun them conventionally, Y warned, eyes fixed on his instruments. And we can't jump. We don't need to outrun them, Amara said, her voice steady as she worked at her console. We just need to surprise them. She rerouted power from life support systems to the quantum field generator. The lights dimmed, air circulation faltering. What are you doing? Davy demanded. We need oxygen more than extra shielding. Not shielding. Weaponizing. Amara finished her adjustments. The field can be inverted. Briefly. Wei's eyes widened in understanding. A displacement pulse. It could work, but we've never tested. We're testing it now. Amara cut him off. Captain, bring us about. I need a clear line to the Vreshi ship. Davy complied, swinging the Firefly around to face their pursuer. The alien vessel was preparing another capture field, its hull glowing with accumulated energy. On my mark, Amara said, fingers poised above the activation sequence. 3, 2, 1. Pulse. The quantum field collapsed inward, then exploded outward in a ripple of distorted spacetime. Where it touched the Vreshi ship, reality seemed to hiccup. Sections of the alien vessel momentarily occupied the same space as other sections, an impossible overlap of matter. The result was catastrophic. The Vreshi ship didn't explode so much as implode, folding in on itself before disintegrating into component atoms. Silence filled the Firefly's cabin. Did we just? Davy couldn't finish the sentence. We shifted portions of their hull into quantum superposition with itself, Wei explained, his voice faint with awe. Matter cannot occupy the same space as itself once quantum coherence breaks down. Will they detect that? Davy asked, already plotting a new course away from the debris field. Oh, they'll detect it, Amara said grimly. The question is whether they'll understand what happened. And we just have to hope the pulse didn't damage our drive further. Diagnostic alerts flashed across her console. Drive temperature critical. Coolant systems at maximum. We need those 3 hours now more than ever. Then we hide, Davy decided, steering toward a cloud of interplanetary dust that might mask their signature. And pray they don't send more scouts before we can jump. On Earth, the situation deteriorated hourly. Commander Elena Reyes had established a makeshift command center in the ruins of Auckland after the Pacific disaster. The city, largely evacuated, provided cover for what remained of the United Earth Defense Forces. Vresci forces have established control centers in 68 major cities, reported Colonel Takeda, pointing to red markers on the global display. They're not occupying so much as installing infrastructure. What kind of infrastructure? Elena asked, studying the patterns. Unknown, but consistent across all locations. Large crystalline structures, energy collection arrays, mining operations beginning near major mineral deposits. The colonel swiped to satellite imagery. They're not destroying civilization. They're converting it. Efficient, Elena muttered, just like they promised. The door to the command center burst open. A communications officer rushed in, breathless. Commander, we've intercepted a Vresci transmission. Their outpost near Jupiter detected some kind of quantum anomaly. A ship they had positioned there was destroyed. Elena's heart leaped. The Firefly. Must be, Takeda agreed. Nothing else could generate quantum effects of that magnitude. The Vresci are redirecting forces to investigate. The officer continued. Their internal communications suggest they're concerned. This wasn't in their models for human resistance. Elena allowed herself the ghost of a smile. Good. We need them off balance. She turned to her staff. What's the status of Project Phalanx? Ready to deploy on your command, Takeda answered. Though I still think it's premature. We have limited resources. What we have is a window of opportunity. Elena cut him off. If the Firefly has them looking outward, we strike inward. Commence Phalanx operations immediately. Takeda saluted and moved to relay the orders. Project Phalanx wasn't a conventional military operation. It was a distributed network of civilian resistance cells, armed with technologies developed in secret by Earth's quantum research divisions, pale shadows of the Firefly's capabilities, but dangerous nonetheless. As Elena watched the operation markers appear on her display, she whispered a silent prayer for Amara and her crew. Everything depended on what they discovered at Proxima Centauri. The 3 hours passed in tense silence aboard the Firefly. Davy maintained their position within the dust cloud, systems running at minimal power to avoid detection. Amara worked ceaselessly on the drive, making adjustments to improve efficiency for their next jump. Wei monitored nearby space for any sign of pursuit. Drive temperature nominal. Amara finally announced. We're ready for the jump to Proxima Centauri. About that, Wei said hesitantly. I've been analyzing Commander Raya's intelligence on the Vresci fleet position. The data suggests they're not actually at Proxima Centauri proper, but a point in space near it, approximately 0.4 light-years from the star. Why there? Davy asked, bringing the engines online. It's a strategically favorable position, Wei explained. Close enough to monitor the system, but far enough to avoid stellar interference with their sensors. Amara considered this. We need to adjust our plan. If we're going to weaponize a star, we need one they don't expect. What are you thinking? Davy asked. Barnard's star, Amara decided after consulting the stellar charts. It's 5.96 light-years from Earth, close enough that the effects will reach the Vresci fleet, but positioned so that Earth won't be in the direct path of the stellar remnant. You want to create a supernova as a weapon, Wei stated flatly. Do you understand what that means? The energy release would be catastrophic. Yes. Amara's expression hardened. But a precisely engineered quantum trigger could direct the majority of the blast along controlled vectors. The Vresci fleet would bear the brunt of it. And what about any planets in that system? Davy asked quietly. Any life. Barnard's star has exoplanets, but our long-range scans have never detected biosignatures, Amara answered. It's our best option for minimizing collateral damage while maximizing impact on the Vresci. A heavy silence filled the cabin. "We're talking about igniting a star," Y finally said. "Creating a weapon that could destroy entire systems. Are we sure this is who we want to be? Does surviving mean becoming like them?" "We're not becoming like them," Davy replied, his voice firm. "They attacked without provocation. They killed millions with that demonstration in the Pacific. They intend to strip mine our planet and subjugate our species. And this response makes us better," White challenged. "It makes us survivors," Amara interjected. "The moral calculus is simple. If we do nothing, humanity ends or becomes enslaved. If we act, we have a chance." She looked between her crewmates. "I'm not asking you to be comfortable with this decision. I'm not comfortable with it myself. But I made the calculations, developed the theory. If anyone bears the moral weight of this action, it's me." "We all bear it," Davy said quietly. "That's what it means to be the crew of this ship." Wade nodded slowly. "Then let's make it count. Barnard's star it is." Davy programmed the coordinates. Amara calibrated the quantum displacement drive. Y prepared the stellar ignition sequence they would deploy upon arrival. "Quantum field at full strength," Amara reported. "Jump in 3, 2, 1. The Firefly vanished from the solar system in a ripple of distorted spacetime, carrying with it humanity's most terrible weapon. And perhaps its last hope. Part 3, Ignition. The Firefly materialized 0.2 astronomical units from Barnard's star, close enough to make out the red dwarf's angry surface with the naked eye through the ship's viewports. The stellar body dominated their view, ancient, dim compared to Sol, but possessing immense energy within its core. Field holding at 76%, Way reported as their system stabilized. "No immediate signs of Freshy presence in this system." "Good," Amara replied, already preparing the quantum trigger device. "We'll need approximately 2 hours to calibrate the device to the star's specific gravitational and magnetic properties." Davy kept his attention on the sensor array. "How exactly does this weapon work?" "In simple terms for the pilot." Amara's fingers never stopped moving across her console. "Stars maintain equilibrium between gravitational collapse and fusion pressure. We're going to use quantum displacement to temporarily remove a portion of the fusion pressure from a precisely calculated point within the core, creating catastrophic collapse in that section," White continued, "which will trigger a runaway fusion reaction when the displaced matter snaps back into normal spacetime. Like squeezing one part of a balloon and having it bulge explosively somewhere else," Davy surmised. "Essentially," Amara confirmed. "But we're directing where that bulge occurs, creating a focused stellar eruption aimed directly at the coordinates of the Freshy fleet. And the displacement field protects us from the blast." Davy asked skeptically. "Theoretically," White answered. "We'll need to jump away immediately after triggering the reaction. But yes, the field should protect us from the initial energy wave." "Should." "Theoretically." Davy shook his head. "Those words keep coming up in this mission." "Because we're doing what's never been done," Amara replied simply. "No species has ever weaponized a star before, as far as we know." "Maybe there's a reason for that," White muttered, but continued his calculations nonetheless. As they worked, Davy noticed an alert on his console. "Energy signature detected. Quantum fluctuations consistent with Freshy technology." "Where?" Amara demanded. "Edge of the system. One ship, moving fast." Davy brought the visual feed onto the main screen. A Freshy vessel, larger than the scout they'd encountered but smaller than the warships over Earth, approached with alarming speed. "They must have detected our jump signature," White concluded. "Projected intercept in 17 minutes. Not enough time to complete the calibration," Amara said, frustration evident in her voice. "We need at least 90 more minutes. Then we buy you time." Davy took manual control of the ship, positioning them on the far side of Barnard's star from the approaching Freshy vessel. "The star's mass will mask our signature temporarily and interfere with their sensors." "Not for long," Y warned. They'll establish orbit and scan the entire stellar vicinity. Then we need a distraction. Davy turned to Amara. Can we create another displacement pulse? Something to draw their attention while you complete the weapon. Amara hesitated. We could, but it would drain power from the main calibration process. And if we damage the drive with another offensive pulse? We need options, Davy insisted. What about the star itself? Can we use its natural emissions somehow? Wei's eyes lit up. Solar flares. If we could trigger a minor flare with a carefully targeted displacement pulse, not a full offensive burst, it might create enough electromagnetic interference to mask our position. And give the Vreshi something else to investigate, Amara added, already reconfiguring the displacement field. It could work. They watched tensely as the alien ship entered the system proper, its sleek form gleaming in Barnard's light. Ready for targeted pulse, Amara announced. Aim for these coordinates. She sent magnetic field intersection points to Davy's navigation system. The captain maneuvered into position, using the star's chromosphere to mask their approach. In position. Field aligned with target coordinates. Pulse in 3, 2, 1. Now, Davy engaged the quantum displacement drive as the first ripples of stellar destabilization began. The firefly vanished into folded spacetime, just as a catastrophic chain reaction ignited within Barnard's star. Behind them, the red dwarf began its death throes, not as a typical supernova, but as something never before witnessed in astronomical history, a quantum-triggered, directional stellar eruption. The Vreshi ship had no time to react before it was atomized by the leading edge of the blast wave. The quantum jump took the Firefly to the edge of the Alpha Centauri system, far enough from Barnard's star to avoid immediate destruction, but close enough to monitor the results of their desperate gambit. Field integrity at 43%, Way reported as they materialized. Drive severely damaged. We won't be able to make another jump of any significant distance. We don't need to, Amara replied softly, staring at the sensor display. Look. The directed energy wave from Barnard's star expanded through space at near light speed, a focused cone of stellar devastation aimed precisely at the coordinates of the Vreshi fleet gathering point. The standard laws of physics had been temporarily rewritten by the quantum trigger, creating a phenomenon never meant to exist naturally. Radiation levels and composition suggest complete molecular dissociation within the primary cone, Way announced, his voice hollow. Nothing could survive that. The Vreshi fleet? Davy asked. The wave will reach their position in approximately 7 hours, Amara calculated. They'll detect it before then, but the energy front is moving too fast for them to evacuate completely. What about Earth? Davy's question hung heavy in the cabin. Earth is outside the primary cone, Amara assured him. The dissipation rate of the wave means our solar system will experience increased radiation and some electromagnetic disturbance, but nothing catastrophic. We should head home, Davy decided, plotting a course using conventional engines. Our mission is complete. Is it? Way asked quietly. We just turned a star into a weapon, created something that could change warfare forever. If we survive the Vreshi, what's to stop humans from using this against each other? Neither Amara nor Davy had an answer. Commander Elena Reyes stood in the remains of Auckland's harbor, watching the night sky. Beside her, Colonel Takeda monitored emergency communications from resistance cells worldwide. The Vreshi are abandoning their infrastructure projects, he reported, unable to hide his bewilderment. All ships still in Earth orbit are repositioning defensively. They know something's coming, Elena said. They must have detected the stellar event. But they don't know what it is, Takeda added. Their communications indicate confusion, possibly even panic. Whatever protocols they're implementing seem hastily organized. Elena scanned the stars, wondering which ones might no longer exist. Any word from the Firefly? Nothing conclusive. We detected a quantum signature at the edge of our solar system approximately 2 hours ago, but it was too weak to confirm identity. A communications officer approached at a run. "Commander, we're receiving a transmission from the Freshy command ship. They're requesting a ceasefire and immediate dialogue with Earth leadership." Alina and Takeda exchanged shocked glances. "Put it through," Alina ordered. The voice that filled the command center was the same multi-toned chorus that had announced humanity's subjugation days earlier, but now it carried a different quality. Urgency, perhaps even fear. "Humans of Earth, the Vreshy Dominion acknowledges your unexpected defensive capabilities. The weapon you have deployed violates all known cosmic conventions. We propose immediate cessation of hostilities to discuss terms that would prevent further stellar detonations." Elena took a deep breath before responding. "This is Commander Elena Reyes, acting representative of Earth's United Defense Forces. We are prepared to discuss terms, but only after all Vreshy forces have withdrawn from Earth's atmosphere and orbital space." A pause. Then, "Such withdrawal would leave Earth capable of deploying additional stellar weapons against our retreating forces. You invaded our world and killed millions in your demonstration." Elena replied coldly. "Your concerns about our intentions ring hollow. Withdraw your forces as a show of good faith, or prepare to face the consequences of your aggression." Another, longer pause. "We will comply with staged withdrawal, beginning immediately. Coordinates for diplomatic contact will follow. The Dominion recognizes humanity's right to independent existence." The transmission ended. "They're actually retreating," Takeda said in disbelief, watching as the orbital signatures of Vreshy ships began moving away from Earth. Whatever Amara and her crew did out there, it worked. "For now," Elena cautioned, "we need to prepare for negotiations, and we need to find the Firefly." It took the Firefly 3 days to limp back to Earth using conventional propulsion. When they finally achieved orbit, they found a transformed situation. Vreshy ships maintaining a respectful distance, Earth's own defense vessels establishing a protective perimeter, and constant diplomatic transmissions flowing between the two fleets. "This is Firefly calling Earth Defense Command," Davi transmitted as they approached, requesting clearance and docking instructions. Commander Rice herself responded, her image appearing on their communications screen. "Firefly, you are cleared for immediate landing at Auckland Base. Welcome home, heroes." "Heroes," Wei echoed hollowly when the transmission ended. "Is that what we are?" "We did what was necessary," Amara said, though her voice lacked conviction. "And now humanity has a chance." "But at what cost?" Davy asked, guiding their damaged ship through re-entry. "And what happens next time we face an existential threat? Do we ignite another star? Where does it end?" No one answered as the blue of Earth's atmosphere enveloped them. 2 weeks later, Dr. Amara Akand stood before the newly formed Interstellar Defense Council, composed of representatives from every nation on Earth. Commander Rice sat at the head of the council, flanked by military and scientific advisors. "The Vreshy Dominion has agreed to recognize Earth and the entire Sol system as sovereign territory," Elena announced to open the session. "They've withdrawn to a distance of 5 light years and proposed a non-aggression pact that would prohibit either side from developing or deploying additional stellar weapons." The chamber erupted in murmurs. A Chinese representative stood. "And we're supposed to trust the word of invaders who killed millions without provocation." "We are not discussing trust," Elena clarified. "We are discussing survival. The Vreshy fleet was damaged but not destroyed by our weapon. Their empire still spans hundreds of systems. This pact buys us time." "Time for what?" demanded the Russian delegate. "To build more weapons. To ignite more stars." All eyes turned to Amara. She stepped forward, feeling the weight of humanity's future on her shoulders. The quantum displacement technology was developed for exploration. She began, her voice steady despite her exhaustion. Its weaponization was an act of desperation, not aspiration. "I stand before you to propose that we establish 2 parallel initiatives." She activated a holographic display showing a modified version of the Firefly. First, a deep space exploratory program using quantum displacement for peaceful expansion and colonization. We now know there are other civilizations among the stars. We need to be prepared to meet them, preferably not as enemies. The display shifted to show a defensive grid surrounding the solar system. Second, a planetary defense network utilizing displacement field technology to shield Earth and our colonies rather than to create weapons of stellar destruction. You created the weapon, the American representative pointed out. Are you now suggesting we abandon our most effective deterrent? Amara met his gaze. I'm suggesting we evolve beyond it. The Vreshi retreated because we surprised them, not because we could win a prolonged conflict. If we enter an arms race of stellar weapons, the galaxy itself becomes collateral damage. There must be a better path. Captain Santos stepped forward to join her. The Firefly's mission showed us two things. Humans can achieve the impossible when cornered, and the cost of that achievement can be higher than we're prepared to pay. I watched a star die. I felt its death ripple through space-time. That's not a power we should wield lightly. Then what do you propose, Captain? Elena asked. Conditional acceptance of the non-aggression pact, Davy replied firmly, with robust verification protocols. Meanwhile, we focus on defensive technologies and establishing human presence beyond our solar system. Expansion. Wei Chen had joined them, completing the Firefly's crew at the podium. After what we just experienced, your solution is human expansion. Operational. Displacement field generators protecting Earth and Mars. Jupiter's moons will have coverage within 6 months. Elena handed Amara a data chip. The Council approved your recommendation. The Phoenix will carry the complete database. The database, humanity's collective knowledge, culture, and history. If Earth ever faced destruction, the colonies would ensure human civilization endured. Captain on deck, announced the ship's AI, as Davy entered the observation lounge. Final checks complete, he reported. Engine room reports the displacement drive is operating at 112% of projected efficiency. Dr. Chen's modifications exceeded expectations. Wei had remained on Earth, heading the new quantum physics division at the Global Science Academy. His focus, developing purely defensive applications for displacement technology. Then we're ready, Amara said, accepting the captain's tablet to review the final launch sequence. Almost. Elena produced a small wooden box, a gift from Earth's governments. They felt the mission should carry appropriate symbolism. Inside the box lay a simple metal medallion bearing the image of a phoenix rising from flames, with Earth visible in the background. Inscribed below was a single phrase. Ex Astris Spes, from the stars, hope. They're calling this the Dawn mission, Elena explained. The dawn of a new era for humanity. Let's hope it's the right dawn, Amara replied, securing the medallion to her uniform. Humanity has stumbled into the galactic community by setting fire to a star. What we do next will define us for centuries. As final preparations completed, Amara took her position on the bridge. The Phoenix's command center was spacious compared to the cramped Firefly, designed for extended missions beyond the solar system. All stations report ready, Captain. First Officer Katri announced as Davy took the command chair. Very good. Davy turned to Amara. Doctor, would you like to give the order? This ship exists because of you. Amara hesitated, then nodded. Phoenix, initiate quantum displacement sequence. Destination, Ta City. The familiar hum of the displacement drive filled the ship, no longer strange and terrifying, but a sound of possibility. Space around the Phoenix began to bend, reality folding to allow passage beyond conventional limits. Field integrity at 100%, reported the Quantum Systems Officer. Coordinates locked for Ta City. Jump in 3, 2, 1. The Phoenix vanished from Earth orbit in a shimmer of distorted light, carrying the first human colonists to the stars. On a Vreshi observation vessel positioned at the edge of the solar system, the Supreme Overseer watched the quantum signature of the human ship disappear. They're expanding, noted his second. As was predicted. Yes, the overseer agreed, but not as conquerors. At least, not yet. Should we inform the Dominion Council? The overseer considered the question carefully. The humans had surprised them once before, destroying a Vreshi battle fleet and forcing a diplomatic solution that no other species had achieved in 10,000 years of Dominion expansion. Tell them. He finally decided that humanity bears watching. They destroyed a star rather than submit, but then they chose restraint when they could have pressed their advantage. An enigma, his second concluded. Perhaps the overseer's compound eyes reflected the distant light of Sol, or perhaps they represent something the Dominion has forgotten after millennia of unchallenged power. What would that be, overseer? Balance. The Vreshi commander turned from the viewport. The ability to wield great power and choose not to use it. An interesting quality. One worth studying rather than eliminating. As the observation vessel prepared to return to Dominion space, the overseer added a private note to his report, one that would reach only the highest levels of Vreshi leadership. The humans ignited a star to demonstrate they would not kneel. Then they extended a hand in peace to show they could stand without forcing others to fall. Such paradox bears careful observation. The galaxy may be changing. Deep in quantum-folded space, the Phoenix traveled toward humanity's future. On the bridge, Amara watched the displacement field metrics with satisfaction. Every theory confirmed, every calculation validated. "Captain," called the sensor officer suddenly, "I'm detecting another quantum signature paralleling our course. It's not one of ours." Davy and Amara exchanged glances. "Vreshi?" he asked. "Signature doesn't match known Vreshi patterns," the officer replied. "It's similar to our technology, but more refined." Amara moved to the sensor station, studying the readings. Another species with quantum displacement capability. "Should we drop out of displacement to investigate?" Devi asked. Amara considered their options. Fear suggested continuing to Taz City without delay. Curiosity argued for investigation. The choice would set a precedent for humanity's approach to the unknown. A just course to intercept, she decided. Let's introduce ourselves properly this time. As the Phoenix altered trajectory, a message arrived through the quantum field itself, something theoretically impossible according to Earth science. In perfect English, it read, "Welcome to the stars, humans. We've been waiting for someone who could both fight and forgive. Perhaps you're ready to join the conclave." Amara looked out at the endless possibility of folded spacetime surrounding them. Humanity had set a star ablaze to announce their refusal to be conquered. Now they would light a different kind of fire, one of discovery, understanding, and connection. The Phoenix continued its journey, carrying humanity toward a future among the stars, a future they had seized for themselves by proving they would rather burn the heavens than surrender their freedom.